Hey, my lovely friends, welcome to today's episode. I'm so happy you're here. Today, we're going to talk about something very close to my heart, something I personally struggled with for years. The topic is how to talk to people in English. I know, just hearing that can make you feel nervous, right? Maybe your hands sweat a little, or your heart beats faster when you even think about starting a conversation in English. I get it. I've been there too. But guess what? You're not alone. And I promise, after listening to this episode, you'll feel more confident, more relaxed, and honestly, you'll be ready to talk to people in English. Not perfectly, not like a native speaker, but like you. Confident, real, and improving every day. So grab your tea or coffee, put on your comfy headphones, and let's just talk heart to heart. You're with a friend here. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone spoke to you in English and your brain just stopped? Like, you knew what you wanted to say, but the words just didn't come out? Or worse, you just smiled and nodded, even though you didn't understand much? Yeah, me too. That used to happen to me all the time. And the worst part? I understood English. I watched English movies, I listened to English music, and I even scored okay in English exams. But when it came to talking to real people, total silence. I would freeze, and it made me feel so small, so insecure. Like, why can everyone else speak so freely, and I can't? But over time, step by step, I learned how to overcome that fear. Not by becoming perfect, not by memorizing big words, but by being real, being brave, and using simple tricks that I'm going to share with you today. So, if you're listening right now and you feel shy or scared to speak English, just know that you're already doing something powerful. You're learning, you're showing up, and that's step one. Step one, understand that English is just a tool. Let's start with this mindset. English is just a tool. It's not a test. It's not a judgment of your intelligence. It's not your identity. It's just a way to communicate. Think about it like this. When you use a spoon to eat soup, the spoon is just helping you eat, right? Nobody judges the spoon. The soup matters. English is your spoon. The connection, the feeling, the message you want to share, that's the soup. So stop worrying about the spoon being shiny and perfect. Just use it. It's okay if it's simple. The goal is not perfect English. The goal is communication, connection. That's it. Step two, start small, start safe. Let's be honest, you can't go from I'm afraid to speak to I'm giving a TED Talk in English overnight. That's not realistic, and you don't need to do that. Instead, start small and safe. Here's what worked for me. Talk to yourself in English. Yes, really. I used to pretend I was talking to a friend like, hey, how was your day? Oh, really? That's so cool. Just simple, fun conversations in my head, or sometimes out loud in my room. Record voice notes. I would open my phone recorder and just speak for 1 minute in English about anything. My day, my feelings, my plans. Then I'd listen back and say, oh, I actually don't sound that bad. Talk to people who won't judge you, maybe a friend who is also learning English, or someone who supports your journey. Practice with them. Laugh at your mistakes. Enjoy the process. Small steps give you big confidence. Step 3, use simple sentences and be proud of it. Here's a big mistake I made. I thought I had to speak fancy English to be taken seriously. So I'd try to say long, complicated sentences, and then I'd mess up and feel stupid. But over time, I realized simple English is powerful. Think about the best speakers. They use short, clear, meaningful sentences. You don't need to say, I was wondering if perhaps you might consider joining us for a small gathering later this evening. No, just say, do you want to come to the party tonight? It's clear, it's real, it's beautiful. So don't chase advanced English. Chase real English. Keep it natural, keep it simple, and be proud of that. Step 4, listen like a child. You know how babies learn to talk? They don't study grammar books. They don't memorize vocabulary lists. They just listen all day, every day. And slowly, the words stick. That's how you learned your first language, right? So why not use the same method for English? Here's what I do even now. I listen to English podcasts every morning while making coffee. I watch TV shows or YouTube videos with subtitles at first, then without. I repeat phrases I like. I actually say them out loud. If I hear someone say, "That makes sense," I'll repeat, "That makes sense. That makes sense," until it becomes mine. This is not studying. This is absorbing. And it works like magic over time. Step 5. Don't wait for confidence. Build it while speaking. A lot of us wait until we feel ready to speak. But honestly, that day may never come. Confidence doesn't come first. Speaking comes first. Imagine you're learning to swim. Would you wait until you feel ready to jump into water? You become ready by getting into the water. Same with English. You'll feel uncomfortable. You'll make mistakes. People might even correct you. That's okay. That's how learning works. That's how growth feels. Every time you speak, you get stronger. Even if you mess up, even if you feel awkward, remember this: mistakes are proof that you're trying. Bonus tip: learn real-life phrases, not just words. Vocabulary is important, yes, but what really helps you talk to people is knowing how to use those words in real-life sentences. So instead of memorizing disappointed, learn the phrase, "I was disappointed because." Instead of learning the word excited, learn how people say, "I'm really excited about this." Learn phrases you can actually use. Here are a few simple phrases I love. "That's interesting." "I totally agree." "Could you say that again?" "I didn't catch that." "Can you repeat?" "Let me think." These are real, friendly, natural ways to communicate. And when you use them, you sound more fluent, even if your vocabulary is small. So now that we've set the stage and shared the basics, I want to share more about what happens when you really decide to immerse yourself in the art of conversation, and how every little practice step builds your confidence over time. I know that when you're just starting out, it may seem like every conversation feels like a test. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a mirror, rehearsing sentences in English like lines in a play. It might feel awkward at first, but remember, every actor had to start with just a few lines. With every practice session, you'll find that the words get a little easier and your tone a lot more relaxed. Let's dive into some more techniques and real-life stories that have helped me become more fluent and natural, so that you can see how easy it can be. And trust me, you're not alone on this path. You might have noticed that sometimes it's not just about the words, but the feelings behind them. Think about a time when you really wanted to express your gratitude or share a funny story with your friends. Maybe even a moment when words just seem to flow effortlessly. Even if the language isn't perfect, that spark of connection is what truly matters. There were days when I felt so anxious that even the thought of a simple hello made my heart race. I remember walking into a local cafe, my palms sweaty and my mind racing with thoughts about every possible mistake I could make. But then I realized something important. People are kind. They're not scrutinizing your every word. They're just happy to make a friendly connection. I took a deep breath, walked up to the counter, and said, "Hi, can I have a coffee, please?" And you know what? That small conversation gave me a huge boost. It wasn't about the grammar or the accent. It was about showing up and being genuine. As you continue this journey, you're going to learn that every conversation is a little victory. Even if you stumble over your words or pause to find the right phrase, those moments of hesitation are not failures, but stepping stones. It's like learning to ride a bike. You might fall a few times, but each time you get back up, you're stronger and more confident. One thing I'd really love for you to embrace is the idea of learning by doing. Think of every chance to speak English as a mini adventure. You can start by setting up small challenges for yourself. For instance, challenge yourself to ask one question to a stranger or to comment on something in English, even if it's a short remark. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. It can be as simple as complimenting someone's outfit or saying, I love this song. In these moments, you're not just practicing words, you're building connections. And that's incredibly powerful. I also want to share a little secret that has helped me a lot. Thinking in English. I know, it sounds like something out of a language learning manual, but it really works. When you're getting used to thinking in your native language, you might find it easier to speak in English by doing a simple trick. Label the objects and feelings around you in English as you experience them throughout your day. This constant exposure, even if it's just a quiet internal dialogue, makes it feel more natural when you have to verbalize a sentence later. Maybe you're worried about making mistakes, and that's completely normal. Everyone messes up sometimes. One day, while chatting with a group of friends, I accidentally said, I know can do this, instead of, I can't do this. I felt embarrassed. But one of my friends immediately laughed along with me and said, Hey, we all learn from our mistakes. That day, I learned to laugh at myself a bit more. And that little moment made it easier to try again the next time. I truly believe that when you allow yourself to be imperfect, you unlock a level of freedom that helps you speak more naturally. Let's talk about another part of mastering conversational English: body language and nonverbal cues. When you're talking, how you express yourself isn't only about your words. It's about your smile, your nods, your gestures. All these elements work together to make your message clear. For example, if someone isn't quite catching your words because you're nervous, a warm smile can bridge that gap. A friendly nod or a light laugh can invite others to be patient with you. And sometimes they might even throw in a helpful correction or encouragement. It really is about making a connection that goes beyond just language. Have you ever noticed how sometimes, even if you can't say much, a simple, I understand, or a look of encouragement can do wonders in a conversation? That's the magic of human connection. It reminds us that language is more than just words. It's emotion, energy, and a shared moment of understanding. I also want to stress that your pace matters. There's no need to rush. Some people speak quickly because they're excited or simply because that's what they're used to, but slow down if you need to. It's okay to take a moment to collect your thoughts. It shows that you're thoughtful and that you care about what you're saying. In fact, many people appreciate someone who speaks slowly because it gives them time to absorb every word and truly connect with your message. It also helps to prepare some conversation starters in advance. I often keep a mental or even a written list of open-ended questions that I can use to spark a conversation. These might be simple inquiries like, what do you love most about this city? Or, have you seen any good movies lately? Questions not only take the pressure off you to speak all the time, they invite others to share more of their stories, and that makes the conversation flow naturally. When you ask a good question, you transform the conversation from a monologue into a genuine dialogue where everyone feels heard. Another thing that can really help in these situations is reflection. After a conversation, whether it went perfectly or not at all, take a moment to reflect on what happened. Ask yourself, what went well? What could I do differently next time? This reflection helps you identify patterns in your speech, understand your strengths, and pinpoint areas you'd like to improve. Over time, these reflections add up to a solid foundation of self-awareness and growth. Let me share another story that might resonate with you. Not too long ago, I attended a small community event that was held in English. I knew very few people there, and I was pretty nervous. My plan was simple: listen more than I spoke and observe how others interacted. And you know what? By the end of the evening, I found myself involved in several engaging conversations. I listened intently, asked questions when I felt comfortable, and soon realized that many people were genuinely interested in my perspective. even if it wasn't delivered in polished English. That night, I understood that every conversation is a step towards mastery. The more you expose yourself to real-life interaction, the more natural it becomes. A fun part of learning a new language is exploring the cultural nuances behind it. English, for example, is filled with idioms, jokes, and expressions that reflect the culture of its speakers. Don't worry if these slip by you at first. It can be incredibly fun to learn them, almost like unlocking a secret code to a new world. For instance, when someone says, break a leg in English, it's not a wish for harm. It's a way to wish you good luck, especially in performance settings. By learning these little tidbits, you not only improve your language, but also feel closer to the culture, which in turn makes conversations more enjoyable and genuine. Sometimes you might feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of vocabulary and the speed at which native speakers talk. In those moments, try to focus on quality over quantity. The aim is to create meaningful interactions, not to impress others with fancy words. Even if you use short sentences or a limited vocabulary, what truly matters is that your words are sincere and your intentions clear. Over time, your vocabulary will naturally expand as you continue these conversations. And here's another little trick. If you ever find yourself stuck mid-sentence, don't panic. Use filler words to give yourself a moment to think. Words like well, or you know are perfectly acceptable. They're even used by native speakers when they gather their thoughts. The key is to use them sparingly and naturally so that your speech still sounds fluid and genuine. Think of it as a temporary pause, a chance for your brain to catch up with what you really want to say. I also want to encourage you to consider using technology as part of your learning process. There are so many apps and online resources that allow you to connect with native speakers or join language practice groups. While nothing beats real conversation, these digital platforms provide a safe space to practice before you step out into more unpredictable face-to-face encounters. It might be a chat with someone halfway around the world or a quick voice message exchange. Every interaction adds up and makes you more confident. Let's talk for a minute about the role of feedback. It can be a little scary, I know. Nobody enjoys being corrected when they're already feeling vulnerable. But here's a mindset shift. Feedback is not criticism. It's a gift. It's a tool that helps you see things from another perspective and learn new ways to express yourself. When someone gently corrects you or offers a tip, try to accept it with gratitude. Think of it as someone helping you fine-tune your instrument so that one day your voice sounds exactly like the melody in your heart. Another essential part of feeling confident in English is finding topics that you're genuinely passionate about. When you talk about something that excites you, whether it's books, travel, cooking, or your favorite hobby, words come out naturally. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and the conversation flows more smoothly. Passion can break down barriers faster than any rehearsed phrase. So pick subjects that light you up, and don't be afraid to share your unique perspective. Authenticity always resonates more than perfection. Speaking of authenticity, I'd like to share how I sometimes integrate storytelling into my conversations. Stories are powerful. They help you connect on an emotional level and make abstract ideas concrete. I often tell little anecdotes from my daily life. That time I got lost on a hiking trail or a funny mishap in the kitchen. These stories not only make the conversation interesting, but also give you a chance to practice a range of vocabulary and expressions. And the best part? Your audience might even share their own stories, making the exchange richer and more engaging. I know this might all sound like a lot to take in, and it sometimes is, but remember, every single word you speak is a building block. You might not always see progress day by day, but over weeks and months, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. Some days you'll look back and think, wow, I really did that. And those moments of realization are proof that learning is happening, even if it feels slow at times. Now, let's get a little creative. I want you to imagine yourself as the storyteller of your own life. Picture that you are not just learning English, you're crafting the narrative of your journey. Every conversation is a chapter, every mistake is a plot twist, and every success is a triumphant moment of self rediscovery. When you see language learning as a story, it becomes less of a chore and more like an adventure you're excited to embark on. Sometimes you might feel alone in this journey, and that's completely normal. I've been in those moments feeling like I'm the only one who struggles with expressing the simplest thoughts. But if you ever find yourself in that space, remember that so many of us are on the same path. There are communities, online forums, and local clubs where learners share their experiences, laugh together about awkward moments, and cheer each other on. It's a reminder that language connects us all, no matter where we come from or how we learned it. I want to share one more personal reflection. Not too long ago, I attended a live event where people were encouraged to speak English casually in an open mic setting. I was terrified at first, imagining that I might stumble over every word. But as soon as I stepped up and began sharing my story, something magical happened. The audience listened, smiled, and even applauded. There was no judgment, only warmth and genuine interest. That experience reaffirmed something essential. It's not about speaking perfectly, it's about speaking from the heart. And that moment, that real connection, stays with you, inspiring you to keep trying again and again. Before I wrap up this extended conversation, let's revisit some of the key ideas we've talked about today. Language as a tool. Remember, English is just a means to an end, a tool to share your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. It doesn't define you. Embrace small steps. Every conversation, no matter how short, is progress. Start small, practice daily, and celebrate even the tiniest improvement. Simplicity. Over perfection. Don't chase overly complicated sentences. Clear, simple language often carries your message better than a perfect but rehearsed script. Listening. Like a child, absorb the language naturally through podcasts, movies, and conversations. Repeat phrases that resonate with you until they become a part of you. Learning through mistakes. Every slip of the tongue is a sign of progress. Accept corrections, laugh at your missteps, and keep moving forward. Nonverbal communication. Use your body language, tone, and expressions to enhance your words. Sometimes, a smile speaks louder than flawless grammar. Cultural connection. Dive into idioms, jokes, and local expressions to not only improve your language but feel closer to the culture behind it. Authenticity and passion. Talk about what you love and share genuine stories. Authenticity always wins over perfection. Feedback and reflection. Embrace feedback as a stepping stone and reflect on each conversation to help guide your next interaction. Community and connection. Seek out supportive environments where you can practice and grow alongside others on the same journey. Now, as we continue this conversation together, let me ask you, what's one small English conversation you can have today? It might be a comment on the weather, a compliment about someone's outfit, or even a simple, "How are you?" Remember, every word you speak is a victory over fear. I invite you to set aside any self-doubt for a moment and give yourself permission to simply be. Be the person who isn't afraid to make a mistake. Be the person who listens deeply and speaks with their heart. And above all, be the person who grows a little bit more every day. If you ever feel like you're hitting a wall, try mixing up your routine. Perhaps join an online chat group or subscribe to an English learning podcast. Change can spark new ideas, new ways of expressing yourself, and yes, new connections that will encourage you to keep practicing. Often, inspiration comes from the most unexpected conversations. Let's continue with another little technique I like to use, the idea of mirroring. When you're talking to someone, try to subtly mimic their words or expressions. This isn't to copy them exactly, but to create a little sense of harmony in the conversation. It's a natural way that our brains signal understanding and connection. In doing so, you may even pick up new ways to phrase your own thoughts. Over time, you'll notice that your responses become more fluid and that the conversation feels like a gentle dance rather than an exam. For example, if someone says, "I really enjoy hiking on weekends," you might respond with, "Oh, hiking sounds great. I love being out in nature too." That small echo, that mirroring of sentiment, makes the exchange feel balanced and warm. It sends a message that you're truly engaged in what they're saying and that you're sharing a bit of yourself too. I also encourage you to experiment with storytelling exercises. Here's one fun exercise. Look around you and pick an everyday object, a mug on your desk, a book on the shelf, and invent a short story about it in English. It doesn't have to be long or complicated. Maybe the mug belonged to a famous explorer, or the book was once a diary of a secret agent. This exercise might feel silly at first, but it's incredibly effective at loosening up your language and imagination at the same time. It takes the pressure off having a real conversation and instead turns learning into an act of creative expression. And you'll be surprised how often these little exercises cross over into your actual conversations when you need an icebreaker or a topic to explore further. Another aspect that many learners struggle with is understanding the rhythm and melody of spoken English. You know how music has a natural flow? Language does too. To improve this, I often spend time with content specifically made for listening practice. You might listen to radio shows or podcasts where the speakers have a casual conversational tone. Try to mimic the cadence, the pauses, and the intonations. Over time, you may start to feel that English has its own rhythm that you can play along with. Before you know it, you'll speak so naturally that even if you hesitate occasionally, the overall flow of your conversation feels musical. And then there's the aspect of humor. Laughter is one of the best ways to break the ice. Don't worry if your jokes don't always land perfectly in English. Humor is tricky in any language. But try incorporating lighthearted comments or funny observations. Even a simple, "That was so funny, I almost forgot I was speaking English," can ease tension and create a shared moment of joy between you and the person you're talking to. Humor is like a universal language, and it works wonders at building rapport. Remember, every conversation is a chance to reflect, learn, and grow. There will be moments when you feel like you have nothing to say, and that's okay. Silence is sometimes just as powerful as words. A well-timed pause can let emotions settle, giving you both time to think and gather your thoughts. The key is not to fear these moments, but to accept them as a natural part of the dialogue. I also want to touch on the importance of setting realistic goals. It might help to define what success looks like for you. Maybe it's speaking to one new person a day, or having a 10-minute conversation every week with someone outside your comfort zone. Write it down, set a timer if you have to, and gradually build on these goals. Soon, those short interactions will add up to a wealth of experience, and you'll find that you're speaking more comfortably without even noticing it. Let's not overlook the emotional side of language learning. It can be stressful and at times discouraging. Some days, you might feel that no matter how much you practice, you're still stuck. But always remember that every learner has moments of frustration. It's completely okay to take breaks, reflect, and then come back refreshed. In fact, giving yourself space to process your thoughts can make your next conversation even more enjoyable and meaningful. I'd love for you to imagine this. Picture yourself 6 months from now. You're walking into a room full of people, feeling confident, relaxed, and excited to engage in conversation. Your English flows naturally, Your mistakes are just small quirks that make your speaking unique, and you're thriving on every interaction. Hold that vision close, use it as motivation on days when you're struggling. That future is building with every word you utter today. As we wind through these layers of tips and insights, let's take a moment to celebrate the journey. Each conversation, however small or imperfect, is a victory. The real beauty lies in your willingness to try, to be vulnerable, and to step outside your comfort zone. By doing so, you're not only improving your English, you're developing courage, resilience, and an ever-growing ability to connect with the world around you. So, as you continue to practice, remember that it's more about the heart behind the language than the exact words you choose. In every conversation, whether you're ordering your favorite coffee, chatting with a neighbor, or sharing a story at a party, you are making progress. And progress, no matter how incremental, is something to be incredibly proud of. Before I close, I want to leave you with this thought. The most important conversations are the ones that come from within. Yes, external conversations help you grow, but it's the inner dialogue, where you encourage, inspire, and celebrate yourself. That truly makes the difference. So, be kind to yourself. Embrace the little victories and don't let a few stumbles discourage you. Each moment of bravery is a spark, lighting the way to your next great conversation. Now, let's bring it all together. Today, we've covered a lot of ground. From understanding that English is simply a tool for connection, to speaking slowly and confidently, from embracing mistakes to listening like a child, and from using technology and storytelling to connecting culturally. Each of these elements contributes to creating a natural, engaging conversation that is uniquely yours. I encourage you to revisit these ideas as often as you need, experiment with different techniques, and most importantly, never lose sight of your passion for learning. As you progress, you'll see that your conversations will not only improve linguistically, but will also enrich your life with new friendships, insights, and experiences. Thank you for staying with me through this extended conversation. I hope that by now, you feel a renewed sense of determination and excitement about speaking English. Remember, it's not about being flawless. It's about being real, expressive, and continually growing. Whether you're practicing in your room, chatting online, or engaging with a new friend in a cafe, each conversation is a step closer to fluency and confidence. Now, as we wrap up this session, I want you to take a deep breath and smile. Know that you're on a journey that is both challenging and incredibly rewarding. I'm proud of every effort you make, and I believe that with a bit more practice and a lot of heart, you're going to shine in every conversation you have. So, my dear friend, let today be the day you say yes to every little chance to talk in English. Embrace the unknown, learn from every encounter, and keep sharing your unique voice with the world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep talking, and above all, keep believing in yourself. I'll be here cheering you on every step of the way. Take care, and happy speaking. That's the end of this extended episode on how to talk to people in English. I hope these additional insights, stories, and tips inspire you to continue your practice with joy and determination. Remember, every word and every conversation is a valuable part of your journey. Let's meet again soon for another chat, another story, and more adventures in language learning.